Let's get to the matter at hand. Not so long ago, Minister of Basic Education, Angie Motshekga, announced the introduction of the General Education Certificate, the GEC, into the South African schooling system, which will allow school learners to leave after grade 9 with a certificate. Joining us on right here to break things down, what this new qualification actually means and who's it geared for is educational psychologist Dr. Sharon Aitken. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Doctor, you must feel like we've been testing you for like the last hour. We've been pumping you for information, but this is, I think we've kind of had it all wrong. And I'm trying to establish now what the actual news is about, because you've revealed to us that you could actually, before this announcement, leave school at the end of grade 9. So maybe we should start with the certificate itself. What exactly is a GEC? Is this the thing that is new?
It's the certificate that is new. So basically what they're saying is, even though kids have been able to leave school at the end of grade 9, they've had their school report from their individual schools, so there's been no standardization. So the GEC is actually just going to provide a standardized exam that you can then look for access into the different schools. So whether you want to go academic, technical, vocational, it's going to give you just a basic standard exam.
Yeah. So let's try and understand what it then means for the future of a child's education in South Africa. Once you've completed grade 9, you've passed, say, this standardized test across the country, and you now hold a GEC and you decide that I want to leave school. And of course, we're not promoting that and saying people should leave school. We're talking about the possibilities of what then can happen. What is then supposed to happen afterwards?
So you can choose to leave school if you want. Obviously, it's really not recommended because you can't do very much with a grade 9. But the idea, from what I understand of reading the press releases, is that the grade 9 is going to start having technical and vocational subjects included, so the kids can actually start choosing which stream suits them better. Not all kids want to do book learning. I see a lot of kids who keep saying to me, I would much rather study something that is realistic and has value to me now. And so they want to go the technical route or the vocational route.
So the certificate will actually stand for something. It will give you an opportunity and hopefully prompt people to move into that more technical stream.
It should just make it more open, make people more aware of it. So if you can get those technical subjects in grade 9, it's not so vague as to which direction you want to go in.
Because that seems to be the crux here. So what can you do with a grade 9 at the moment?
Very little. I mean, if you're 15, you can work, but if you're 14, you still can't work because you're not legally allowed to be employed until you're 15. But if you have a look at the laws around being employed between 15 years and under 18 years, it's so stringent, I don't think anybody would want to employ you.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of legalities around it.
I'm remembering myself at age 15. I don't think anyone would want to employ me either, to be honest.
Probably not. But if we just go back, I feel like this places a lot more responsibility on the parent-child relationship, for there to be such a close-knit that a child is able to speak to their parents openly about, this is how I feel about school, the academic side of school, and I possibly want to go down this stream, and they understand their child so well. But what kind of child would this system be beneficial for if you had to advise parents and children out there?
I think it's a misunderstanding to think it's for the kids who aren't as good academically, because you're actually going into some very technical streams in some cases with physical science,
engineering,
mathematics, yes. Although they might be going there in the grade 10 year, they can actually go all the way through, get their diploma, get their BTech degree. So I wouldn't look at it as a soft option. It's a different track that you can go on. And I think in South Africa, in my opinion, we place way too much weight on getting a degree. We end up with a lot of people who have degrees now but can't get work. And there's a lot of job opportunity in the skilled trades, skilled artisans.
Oh, right.
Wow. Yeah, we know.
You can establish a really good business in that.
We need more entrepreneurs. We need more fitters and turners, boilermakers. I'm really interested in knowing, or maybe getting your opinion on whether you should see a psychologist with your child before making a decision like that. But I'm going to let you think about that for a moment. How do you feel about leaving school and entering the big wide world out there, joining the workforce? with a grade 9 certificate.
But see, that's the thing. You can't necessarily join the workforce with that GEC. It allows you to go into a different stream. But let us know, because on our Facebook page, we asked that question. If you had the opportunity to do that, to leave, I guess, what we know as school, the traditional school right now, at grade 9, would you do so? And if so, why? If not, why not?
Maybe weighing that up right now.
We'll have Dr. Sharon Aitken here with us to continue the conversation very shortly.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. Such an interesting discussion. You are right in the middle of it. Earlier in the show, educational psychologist Dr. Sharon Aitken joined us to discuss the introduction of the General Education Certificate, the GEC, into the South African schooling system, which will allow school learners to leave after grade 9 with a certificate. That's the important part here. So we're continuing that very important and unbelievably interesting discussion. Doc, thank you so much.
So I guess the big question that a lot of people have been asking, and its relevance will also kind of be extrapolated with your answer, but psychologically speaking, how ready is a grade 9 learner for the workforce?
Are they not at all ready? As I was saying earlier, it's actually based on old, outdated psychology that felt that by the age of 16 you were fully adult. In actual fact, the research is showing that you're not neurologically a fully developed adult until you are 23, 25. You don't have the prefrontal cortex development, so you don't have the executive functions. Your impulse control, ability to consider consequences of actions, none of that is in place yet, or fully in place yet. So, yeah, it's really not an ideal time. Plus, their brains are undergoing massive growth in the social emotional areas, which, as you know, all sort of 13, 14, 15-year-olds are quite volatile.
Yeah,
and a lot of risk-taking. So I wouldn't advise
You don't want to be
school.
learning through your mistakes in a workshop environment.
No, you really don't.
That being said, what should a parent, and maybe a parent and child as that unit, as you were saying, as being now, you're going to have a very strong bond and relationship. What should you be considering? Would you recommend going to see an educational psychologist, someone who operates in that space?
You know, if you've got a good relationship with your child, you really don't need to pay a lot of money to go see a psychologist. One of the things that you can do with your kid is just sit them down and say, let's have a look at how much it costs to live. Yeah?
Oh, okay.
So what kind of phone do you want? Where you're going to stay? You know, you might not be living with us anymore if you're going out to work. You know, and just do a cost analysis, and then start having a look through the classifieds to find a job that you can get with a grade 9 certificate. And you won't find any. And then you can start having a look at what are you going to get as an 18-year-old with a Matric, and have a look at the bottom line there. And usually that's sufficient to make them stay in school. And then they've actually made the choice
You just
to
reverse
stay in
psychology
school.
that.
Once they see, and then once they know how hard it is to work, you know, that they're going to be working 8 hours, 10 hours a day.
It's a very physical job as well, yeah.
I don't know if I'm all of a sudden starting to see a silver line in an otherwise possibly dark cloud, in the sense that the introduction of these vocational subjects or more technical subjects in the earlier part of, let's say, high school and into grade 9, now with the leaving of school, let's say grade 9 with a GEC, but now you've already had a hand in these subjects, better equips you to go, well, if I do leave school, then I can go to this institution of higher learning in order to apply myself in this technical trade, because that's what I know that I enjoy, given what I've experienced. Is that what the education department or the basic education department is going for here?
That's what my understanding is. So if you go the technical route or the vocational route, you're going to come out with an N3 qualification, which means that you're able to go into the workforce as either, you said earlier, a fitter and turner, or a mechanic, hairdresser, teacher, assistant. So you will actually be able to go straight out and work, which I think is really important for families that cannot afford higher education, cannot afford the diplomas. So then you can actually work, get an income, and then study further if you want. And I think that for me is going to be the crucial aspect, is will the N3, and as far as I know it still does, allow you to progress further, which it does with the N4.
Yeah.
So as long as they're making that accessible, I actually think it's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
No, I was going to ask you that final question. Is it a good thing? Are you thumbs up, thumbs down?
At the moment, I'm thumbs up, but as with everything, it depends on how it's applied.
Yeah.
You know, it mustn't come off half-baked. They need to do it properly, and they need to put the resources into the grade 8 and grade 9 classrooms.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the big key.
Yeah, absolutely. So important. Dr. Aitken, thank you very much
We need you
for
in a
clarifying
ministerial
this.
position, Doctor.
We really do appreciate it very, very much. A very interesting conversation, and I think there's still so much for us to learn and understand about it. In fact, I mean, I'd like to openly invite anybody from the Department of Basic Education to come and have a chat to us and further explain, because this is such a crucial decision for both parent and child and the family unit to
What's
make. We need to
motivating you?
understand
Yeah.
exactly what all this would mean, how our children will be advised properly at that schooling system, at that level, in order to allow them to make well-informed decisions. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah.